solemn entry of the Custos of the Holy Land in Bethlehem marked the beginning of festivities for the Epiphany in an atmosphere of joy and celebration. The solemnity of Mary, Mother of God, as well as the celebration of the World Day of Peace, took place in the Latin Patriarchate in Jerusalem. During the celebration dedicated to the Feast of the Holy Family, the faithful took part in the Holy Mass that was held in the Grotto of the Annunciation and later walked in procession to the place where Jesus, Joseph, and Mary lived. The only wool felting project in Palestine with a mission introducing the gifts of people with intellectual disabilities and working together for a more humane society. Discover one of the most visited shrines of the Holy Land and the treasure of faith and history it holds, the stable where baby Jesus was born. Caspar, Melchior, and Balthazar, the wise men from the nativity scene, played a key role in the birth of Jesus. Arrived from different parts of the world, they received the revelation that the child was the Messiah, the Savior. This manifestation, or Epiphany, is commemorated on January 6, or on the second Sunday after Christmas. In Bethlehem, the feast was celebrated by the Franciscan community and the local Christians in the Church of St. Catherine adjacent to the Basilica of the Nativity. The Feast of the Epiphany is a wonderful celebration because it is the manifestation of the child Jesus through those who bring together the whole of humanity into one family, all the peoples of the earth who come to worship him. They bring the most precious gifts: gold in recognition of his being king, incense in recognition of his being God, and myrrh in recognition of his coming to give his life for us. On the eve of Epiphany, the Custos of the Holy Land, Father Francesco Patton, made the traditional solemn entry into the city of Bethlehem. In the square of the manger, he was welcomed by several groups of scouts and by the civil and religious authorities. The entry concluded with a liturgical ceremony celebrated by the Franciscans. In the afternoon, the first Vespers were recited in the Church of St. Catherine. The Franciscans and the faithful went in procession from the Latin parish to the Grotto of the Nativity. On the notes of the Canticle of Mary, the Magnificat in Latin, the keeper sensed the star, sign of Jesus' birth, as well as the site where he was laid in the manger. Each year, the celebration repeats the gesture of those scholars of astronomy who, guided by the star, found and worshipped the Savior.
Da Betlemme noi siamo
We represent the wise men who are sent from Bethlehem to announce to all of humanity that the Savior is born and that our lives have been transformed, to announce that we must do our part. We must work to ensure that the peace that He came to bring us becomes real and tangible in our world and in our history.
nel nostro mondo e dentro la nostra storia.
اليوم هو الخطاس بالنسبة لنا وإحنا أجينا.
Every year we celebrate the Feast of the Epiphany in Bethlehem and we welcome the Custos of the Holy Land. We believe the child Jesus is present in every heart that turns into a manger to receive him.
In the Catholic world, the solemnity of Mary, Mother of God, Theotokos, as well as the celebration of the World Day of Peace, takes place on the first day of the year. In Jerusalem, the celebration was held in the co-cathedral of the Latin Patriarchate. Along with the Apostolic Administrator, Monsignor Pier Battista Pizzaballa, different religious authorities, representatives of the various Latin communities of the Holy Land, as well as many local faithful and pilgrims were present. In his homily, Monsignor Pizzaballa stressed the importance of the Virgin Mary and how her divine motherhood and the mystery of the birth of Jesus have an impact on the life of the believer. Bishop Pizzaballa also recalled Pope Francis's message for the World Day of Peace, which emphasized that Jesus taught us that the real battlefield where we face violence and peace is the human heart. In his message for the celebration of the 50th World Day of Peace during the Angelus in St. Peter's Square, Pope Francis asked everyone to strive to make 2017 the year of nonviolence, hoping that our decisions, our relationships, our actions in politics and in all circumstances follow the same nonviolence belief. Jesus tells us, the gospel tells us, that we must be and behave as children of light. We have the example of Mary, the mother of God, the mother of Jesus, who kept these things and pondered them in her heart. We, as children of light, need to intensify the works of justice and peace in our world and in our context, and this is our responsibility. Maybe we will not be able to change the destiny of the world, but we could still be witnesses of peace. It is the first time I participate. It was a beautiful and joyful event, a touching Mass. We hope for peace in the world, and I wish everyone the best.
Sia di buon auspicio per la pace in tutto il mondo e tanti auguri a tutti.
After Mass, the faithful were able to offer warm wishes to Monsignor Pier Battista Pizzaballa, the Apostolic Nuncio Monsignor Joseph Lazzarato, Monsignor William Schmally, Patriarchal Vicar, and to the Custos of the Holy Land, Father Francesco Patton. Evidently, this year will not be easier than 2016. Many are the challenges at the political, social, and even at an ecclesial level. My hope is, in any case, and despite all, as we also did in 2016, to be able to continue to give our testimony of life and witness of light here in this land. I wish everyone a peaceful year, a 2017 full of joy and satisfaction that may lead us to those happy moments that we all desire. May the Lord bless all our families. During choir practice in the Church of St. Joseph in Nazareth, voices and instruments warm up for the big celebration of the Holy Family.
We have 15 students who have been practicing for 2 months. The choir has been in existence for 6 years. It is a pleasure to be here in this church that supports the arts in a special way. The church is located in the complex of the Basilica of the Annunciation. Another chapter in Jesus' life is found next to the grotto where the angel announced to Mary that she would be the mother of the Savior. In the lower level of the church is the crypt dedicated to the foster father of Jesus, which attracts pilgrims from all over the world. Under the crypt of St. Joseph is the grotto, which according to tradition was the home of the Holy Family, where Jesus lived most of his life with his parents, Mary and Joseph. These walls are among the few archaeological remains that can testify to the life of Jesus of Nazareth.
Nós tivemos aqui em Nazaré, porque ele que escavou Nazaré no ano 1948.
Father Bellarmio Bagatti was a Franciscan priest and also a great archaeologist who, with his team of archaeologists, led the excavations in Nazareth in 1948. Therefore, with the help of archaeology, science, and the knowledge of the gospel, we find a third factor represented by the Christians who used to pray in these places at the beginning of Christianity.
Que eram os cristãos que do início do cristianismo rezavam nesses lugares.
On December 30, feast day of the Holy Family, the Mass in the Grotto of the Annunciation brought together the local Arab Christians and the Franciscan community.
Il messaggio di questa festa è un messaggio...
The message of this feast is very simple and at the same time very important. It is very simple because it reminds us that to enter into our history, the Son of God chose to be part of a normal family like Joseph and Mary. At the same time, this is an extraordinary message because the coming of the Son of God through a human family shows how valuable the dignity of a family is when it is chosen as a place capable of receiving God.
La famiglia è un luogo capace di accogliere Dio.
At the end of the Mass, the faithful went in procession from the Grotto of the Annunciation to the house of the Holy Family, a place that enchants and excites the pilgrims.
Uma das coisas mais importantes quando eu cheguei.
One of the most important things that I perceive here is the fact that this was the place where Jesus was like us in every way. Here he was a child, here he played. This feeling I have here in the house of the Holy Family is truly special.
Sentir realmente como aqui a casa da Sagrada Família, né?
To conclude the celebration, the voices and instruments, now well tuned, resonated across the Church of St. Joseph in honor of those who lived here and gave the example of what it means to be a family. Ma'an L'Hayat in Arabic, Together for Life, is a center in Bethlehem where young people and adults with learning difficulties can come together and make friends. The project is part of L'Arche Communities, an international federation founded in France in 1964 by Jean Vanier. This story begins in 2009.
I could see the need in our society for such places. Many people, many families used to come to apply for their children, and we had no place to welcome them. So these two combinations, the need in the society and how I liked the mission and vision of L'Arche, these two combinations made me think that yes, we need to open such a place.
After obtaining the permission, the logo and the name by L'Arche, we had to choose the nature of the center. Handcrafting was the first idea that came to mind.
We wanted really something useful. We were looking and asking people about what is missing in our Palestinian society, and we found that the wool, nobody is using it nowadays in Palestine. Either they throw it or burn it.
The center, which is still the only workshop dedicated to wool felting, has now two locations, Bethlehem and Dar Salah, which respectively welcome 21 and 7 key members, as the guests are called. In the Palestinian society, the majority of people with disabilities live with their families. That is why we chose to open a daycare center.
Usually they came at 8:30. In the morning we do the morning together. It's song, not like just more sabah al khair. After that we give them the public news. After that we go to the work at 9 o'clock. Some of them they can work hard, some of them they cannot do. We give them how each one how he can work.
I live in Beit Jala, in Yamima, and I work in this place. I like all.
Every day, the wool retrieved from the various farmers of Bethlehem is brought to the center to be recycled. The first steps consist in the cleaning and treatment of the raw material. Then, once allowed to dry, we start working in 3 different rooms up to the finishing and final packaging. Bringing the gifts of people with intellectual disabilities and working together for a more humane society. The motto of L'Arche gains strength among the corridors of Ma'an L'Hayat in Bethlehem. One of the oldest churches in the Holy Land and even in the world, a real treasure for humanity, the Church of the Nativity was the only one to survive the destruction of the holy sites.
Per persiani invadono la Terra
In
Santa.
the year 614, the Persians invaded the Holy Land and destroyed all the churches with the exception of this one. When they saw the fresco of the three wise men wearing Persian clothes, they stopped. Later, in 1009, the Caliph Hakim continued to destroy all the churches, but when he arrived here, he came across a snake, got scared, and fled.
E si è spaventato e scappato.
The first construction of the Church of the Nativity dates back to the 4th century by Saint Helena, mother of Emperor Constantine. Destroyed by a strong earthquake, it was rebuilt by Justinian 2 centuries later. At the time of the Crusades between the 11th and the 12th centuries, the walls were enhanced with mosaics made of gold and mother of pearl. The front door was, on the other hand, made smaller to prevent the Turks from entering on horseback. The so-called Door of Humility also has a meaning of reverence for the holy place. Long before its construction in the 2nd century, the place was already venerated by Christians. For this reason, the Emperor Hadrian turned it into a sacred grove dedicated to Adonis, thus profaning the place that was considered holy.
La presenza cristiana restava molto prima.
The Christian presence continued. Long before Saint Helena built the church, Christians had venerated this place. The construction of the temple of Santa Helena was considered the demonstration of something that already existed.
Qualche cosa che già esisteva.
The Church of the Nativity is currently being restored. The roof, the mosaics, the columns of the nave, the facade, and the damaged parts are being repaired. The structure we see today is impressive. The quality of the material used is the same that has been holding up the church for nearly 1,500 years. The wood used in the lintels supporting the roof was cedar of Lebanon from the Justinian era.
E poi uno si domanda, perché questa chiesa è stata in piedi?
We wonder how this church lasted for more than 1,500 years, enduring even earthquakes that destroyed virtually all of Palestine. I wonder how this is possible. Maybe because it was designed and built in an incredible way? Yes, from the technological point of view, this church is a wonder.
Dentro è una meraviglia tecnologica.
In July 2016, the restorers discovered the mosaic of an angel that was hidden for centuries underneath the plaster. In the basilica, under the nave, there are the caves that surround the place of Christ's birth. They are dedicated to Saint Joseph, to the Holy Innocents, and to Saint Jerome, who lived there over 30 years of his life while translating the Bible. The stairs access the heart of the Church of the Nativity. Jesus' birthplace and the manger where he was laid are just a few steps away. I believe that celebrating the mystery of the incarnation of God's Son is very important. He really became flesh here in the Holy Land. Here he was born and gave his life for us. The grotto of the Nativity and the manger preserve the archaeological remains of the place where Jesus spent the first moments of his life. These are tangible signs that reinforce what we do not see, the faith in the Son of God. Many times at home when we were children, we were told stories about the birth of Jesus, so we have always tried to imagine the details of this significant story. Being here and being able to grasp the reality of this event is a great joy.
Uma alegria muito grande.
The mission of the Christian Media Center is to bring the message of the Holy Land, the land of the fifth gospel to the world. Broadcasts, reports, news, documentaries, the latest happenings in the church and of the daily life of Christians in the Holy Land. You can help us in this mission, raising awareness and spreading the message of the Holy Land. Help us. Visit our website,